Welcome to the webinar, everyone. We're so excited that you are spending your valuable time to learn a little more about health this week. I have on with me in the webinar Gordon Bruin, and he is a clinical mental health counselor who specializes in addiction recovery. He's been in the field for over 20 years. He wrote a book called Language of Recovery, and he's an American board certified professional counselor and a speaker throughout the country. And I'm just really excited to have you on, Gordon. And I'm hoping that you can help some of our clients who are participating in this challenge or who are just clients in general with something that we like to call emotional eating in our country. And I think that it permeates our society. Even I see commercials where they say, good mood food, or bake up some love, or these types of things. I want to stuff some chocolate in my face in kids movies, things like that. So can you just talk a little bit about this phenomena that we have going on in America right now?
Sure. Anyway, it's great to be here with you too. What I have seen in working in the mental health field for the past 20 years and with emotional eating specifically, what can help people is understanding how the human brain actually works. And the best way to do this is to share a little slide with you. Let me do that real quick. And it's called the TwoPart Brain. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Do you see that now?
Yep, coming through great.
Okay. So the part in the red is known as the limbic system. It's more of our instinctive primitive brain, and that's where our pleasure centers are housed. That's where that part of the brain is the part that another way to describe it is it's the type of brain that's largely functioning in a lion or a tiger. It's known as the limbic system. And it functions on the premise of surviving at all costs. That's the first prime directive. And the second and third prime directives are to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Now, when we emotionally eat or do anything that can be addictive by nature and take us out of a particular feeling state, it hooks right to the limbic system. It's critical to understand that the limbic system is not rational, moral, or logical by nature. It's not its job to do that. It's like asking a lion or a tiger, if you're looking at a lion or a tiger, and it's eating its prey, does it ever look like it feels guilty? It doesn't, because those feelings don't exist in that part of the brain. The other part of the brain that's called the prefrontal, we now know that that's the rational, logical, moral part of the brain. And so literally we have two brains that are working in concert with each other. And so when we emotionally eat, it's like if we go back to the three prime directives of the limbic system, its job is to keep us alive. And so when we get, we use the acronym BLAST, bored, lonely, angry, stressed, or tired. When we get in one of those states, the higher functioning brain, the brain that goes, oh, I shouldn't be eating 2 boxes or 2 packages of Oreo cookies. That part of the brain, when we get blasted enough, begins to actually shut down, and the survival part of the brain kicks into mode saying, I've got to get out of this state. And it will give you a craving to whatever the drug of choice is. And food is a huge one because we can't function without it. And part of living a healthy life is learning to have a healthy relationship with food. Food is wonderful. I mean, it's not, we have to have it. And the limbic part of the brain just loves salty, fatty, greasy types of food. That's what it does, because it kicks off the pleasure centers and the dopamine reward system in the limbic part of the brain. There's some interesting information that came out of Harvard recently, and it just says we now know that all addictions work on exactly the same area of the brain known as the limbic system. And so the quest in dealing with emotional eating is to strengthen the prefrontal, through what I call the 5 keys to the language of recovery. And that's the book that I've written. And I'm in the process. That book's been out, I don't know, 3-4 years now. And I'm in the process of writing a language of recovery too. I never know how long that's going to take. But to go a little bit deeper into these 5 keys. But these 5 keys are proving to be very, very helpful for many who struggle with addiction issues. And let me just explain them briefly. The first key is called acknowledgement or acceptance, meaning that we just have to accept the reality that we have a 2-part brain. The limbic system has no morals or values, and it will always want the path of least resistance and what creates the most pleasure. That's why we love chocolate compared to an apple generally, right? I don't know how many people have gone to the store and stolen a bag of apples. You don't do that, but craving chocolate and stuff like that, that's something different. So we need to acknowledge and not feel guilty that we have natural desires towards those things. The second key is called surrender, meaning that you don't need to fight it typically the way you would fight it, because this is what happens. If an individual is struggling with emotional eating or any other addiction, has a craving to eat another piece of chocolate cake or another cookie or something like that, and the part of them says, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. What you're doing is actually fighting the instinctive survival part of the brain, which has associated that food with emotional survival, and it makes it stronger, makes the craving stronger. And so we take the gentle path. We use the term in recovery called becoming a peaceful warrior, because yes, it involves the will, the prefrontal, but you don't fight it in the same way. You just let the craving be. It's okay. It's not going to kill you if you don't have more of what you're desiring. And then the third key is awareness training. So we do a lot of work on helping people stay grounded in the present moment, and just learning to be more in tune and in touch with what's really going on with them, and then seeking the help or the communication that they need to work through some things. I mean, mental health is accepting reality at all costs and doing the best we can to deal with certain things instead of trying to run away from them into whatever emotional eating can do, or any addiction. The fourth key is called mindfulness training, and that's where we help individuals create for themselves a powerful future picture statement. And then we do a lot of work on meditation and visualization, because that can help you access a certain power that makes it more likely that you will actually create the change that you want. And there's a very powerful form of meditation that can be taught to help people watch their thoughts. And we're not taught to do that over here in the Western culture. In the East, some of the Eastern Asian cultures, Indian cultures, they are taught that, and they know how to do that, but we're not taught that. So there are certain things that are very powerful that we can teach. And then the fifth and final key is just a belief or faith that you can actually be grounded in the present moment and become the type of person that you want to become. And I'm not talking about Sunday school faith. I'm talking about faith as an intelligent force in the universe that can actually be accessed through belief, visualization, repetition, that can actually cause things to happen and change to happen. So anyway, that's just a brief, really total snapshot of what the language of recovery and the 5 keys are about, and understanding the 2-part brain.
Wow, you said so many great things, Gordon. I just love how you talk about being grounded in the present. And in Take Shape for Life, we have a term that we use called Stop, Challenge, Choose. And when you are facing this type of situation, and just stopping and taking some deep breaths, really grounding yourself in what the present is, the now, and challenging that thought. And I like how you talk about that you can strengthen that part of your brain, the prefrontal, with meditation. And we teach that. We completely believe in the same thing, that, even having that quiet, we call it quiet time, doing some relaxation techniques, meditation, as a preemptive strike, doing a daily regiment every morning or every night. And it really does, it helps you to deal with those situations. You don't always have 5 minutes to go meditate right when you're having a craving, but you can stop in the moment, challenge that thought, and then make a choice based more on the prefrontal rather than the limbic system. So I think that is just, it's so interesting to know, not feel that guilt that you have that thought or that craving that's coming up.
Right. Well, and so, and understanding the two-part brain, again, so let me throw another slide up here real quick. So learning to recognize the addictive voice or the emotional eating voice, it's like if I were to make the statement, so all of you listening to this webinar, I just want you to pay attention. I want you to think of your favorite food, whether it's chocolate or whatever, and I'm going to make a statement to you, and I want you to pay attention to what happens, what thoughts come into your mind or what you feel. Okay, so think of your favorite food. And here's the statement. Never, ever at any time in the future can you have that again. And my question would be, what do you hear or feel? And typically the response is, we get, oh yeah, right, or it makes you want it more and so forth. Well, if you could recognize that feeling or a thought come up like that, that thought came from the limbic system. And so instead of, it's just a cognitive behavioral or a cognitive technique we can teach, instead of saying, I want to go have another M&M, just add a T to it. My limbic system, which functions out of the, avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, it wants to go and have another M&M. And when I say you can't have it, it's like this picture down there of the, the jaguar that is just, that's what you feel like, right? When you say you can't have it anymore, because it's the beast part of the brain that has associated this food with pleasure and survival, emotional survival. And so, yeah, so a lot of work, what we do is right on lines of what you're talking about, of mindfulness and awareness. And let me, kind of wrap up with this statement that we use, that I believe is one of the most profound statements as it comes to awareness training. Well, actually a couple. Albert Einstein said, the distinction for us physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only an illusion, although a very convincing one. So all we ever have is the present moment. And the other statement is from Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz out of the UCLA School of Medicine, as it relates to our thoughts and being in the quality of awareness or attention determines the nature of consciousness that arises and thus the action that takes place. The only willful choice one has is the quality of attention one gives to a thought at any moment. The strain of attention is the fundamental act of will. So staying grounded in a daily plan, we believe the same thing. We do what's called a daily planning sheet based on your future vision statement that you rehearse morning and night and set small and simple goals based on that vision. And then you go out into the world in mindfulness and awareness. And when you're triggered by a fast food restaurant or this, that, and the other, you acknowledge it. You don't have to get frustrated. You don't have to fight it, because you can't fight it, because you're fighting the survival part of your brain. And that's why you always end up losing with that. So if you just let it be, let the craving be, it cannot hurt you. Thoughts are just thoughts. Something called acceptance and commitment therapy, which is a third wave of cognitive behavioral therapy, is learning, just let thoughts be. They cannot harm you. And you can deal with the craving. We talk about two types of pain in recovery work. There's the pain of regret. So when you binge, right, or emotionally eat, you always go, ugh, I shouldn't have had 15 cookies. or there's the pain of self-mastery. And the pain of self-mastery is, I'm having a craving right now. I acknowledge it. I surrender. I don't need to fight it. I'm aware of where I'm at. And I know that if I binge too much, that it's not going to really help me. So I'm mindfully just continue on using the pain of self-mastery. And I believe I can live in this place and it will be okay.
Wow. Gordon, you've said so many things that I think will be so helpful to people. And I really appreciate, your coming on and sharing this. And I just want everyone on here to just know that this is something that a lot of people deal with, and it's something that can be overcome. And it's really a journey. It's not something that, oh, I watched a webinar and now I'm a pro at it, but it's something that you work on. And also to really go back to your Living a Longer, Healthier Life workbook that we use with Take Shape for Life, and working through a lot of the behavioral things that are found in there, including creating your vision statement and being able to use that each day and having your quiet time. So I'm gonna, let's see if we can stop sharing screen. But I just want to thank you so much for your time, Gordon. We really appreciate it. And let's get out there and let's just help other people and to see how we can help our own health. So thanks for being on, everybody.